Good afternoon. I want to thank you all for coming here. I truly do appreciate it. First thing I want to do is thank Susan Lee, because when she heard that I wanted to do this, she said, I'll help. And I said, yeah? She said, yeah, I have a list of people you can invite. I said, fine, Susan, that's wonderful. She wasn't kidding. So, I'm real happy you're here. I want to thank, first of all, the office, the people working in the office. I don't call them my staff, because we were trying to work together. First, Miss Grace Deno. Grace, wave to the people. Grace runs our business compliance programs. So Grace is the official responsible for MFD, which is Minority Female Disabled Business Compliance Program. She also runs our local small business compliance program. So, you know, Grace is the person you don't want to make mad, because Grace will come at you with the gathered together anger of many people, and she will beat you until you give up some money. So, at our jobs, Grace is really good at what she does. But it's Grace's responsibility to make sure that businesses are, in fact, in compliance with our program goals. And Grace is good at what she does. Wait till people get Grace so they know where you are. Memorize Grace's face. Grace can be the best friend. The second person I want to introduce is Michael Brown. Michael, stand up. Wait till people. Michael is our program manager for our local small business program, our small business reserve program. And you know, under Maryland law, small business is pretty liberally defined. You can have assets up to $10 million a year. So small is pretty good. The other person I want to introduce is Denise Boone Taylor. She works with us and helps with our compliance efforts. And then finally, although he doesn't work in our office, he is with the Department of Economic Development, I'm sure well known to you all, Dr. DeVance Walker. DeVance, I'm going to let you say whatever you'd like to say.
Well, I think it's a great turnout. Thank you for coming. And I think one thing, our Department of Economic Development is changing. So many of us there are going other places. And hopefully I'll be teaming with the Department of Procurement. And I think one of the things I might be doing is doing outreach to corporations to do business with our local firms. So we're kind of, you know, we want to get a piece of that pie as well. So I hope that happens in that area.
Thank you. I think that would be great. I want to remind folks that if you didn't have a chance to sign in or to drop your business card in on the way in, please do so on the way out. Because we really need to be able to contact people about the opportunities, and we can't contact you if we don't have your contact information. What other practical thing? Oh yes, if you park in the garage across the street, save your ticket, because they do validate here. So I think it's up to, what is it, 2 hours? Up to 2 hours free parking. So is there anything else practical I'm leaving out of Grace?
We are distributing a sign-in sheet going around the room. I don't know where it is. Anybody? Okay, great. Just make sure you sign in so that we have a contact information from you.
So I want to get started by first just telling you a little bit about the office. We're scheduled to be here for 2 hours. So we're scheduled to be here for 2 hours. I'm not going to spend the whole time talking, I promise you. What I do want to do is give you sort of an update of where we are and what we're doing, and then I really want people to have a meaningful opportunity to ask questions, because the whole point of this to me is to have a dialogue. holding in your heart about procurement, and you need to get it off your chest, now's the time. Okay. So first of all, I want to tell you that some of you may or may not know, but this office is newly created. It was created in June. I was appointed to head it. This had previously been an office within the Department of General Services, and then Mr. Leggett decided that what the best thing to do would be to pull out the Office of Procurement, make it a standalone department, and give it cabinet level status, and that's what has been done. The reason for that is well, there are many reasons for it. One big reason is provide more transparency and accountability in the office. The other, and to the public particularly, there was a feeling, a perception that I think has been borne out in the few task force reports that have been done by the county council, that procurement was like this closed system, that if you didn't know anybody, you couldn't get in, that the doors were not open to everyone. And so the belief was that reorganizing and making it more accountable, more transparent, would help address some of those perceptions. I can guarantee you this. I spent 20 years, over 20 years, in Congress doing oversight. I tell you that, and I think that's important, because to me, transparency and accountability are the things that I've tried to live by. It's the way I've made my career. So I believe that the people have a right to understand what is going on in this government, that the people have a right to know how the government affects them, that the people have a right to see and be a part of what the government is doing. I am trying my best to bring that set of convictions and beliefs to the Office of Procurement. Second reason this office was created was because in 2014, a disparity study was released. The disparity study essentially said that throughout the county, government procurement practices, groups of people, businesses were being left out. African Americans, Asian Americans, Hispanic Americans, women, disabled people were not getting a fair shot at government contracts. And let's be real, government contracts aren't reserved for anybody. Government contracts are made up from the people's money, and all the people should have an opportunity to participate in putting forth a bid for those contracts. The disparity study said that wasn't happening. Part of my job is to make the disparity studies words real, because what it recommended was that this county undertake measures to resolve the disparities and to turn around the underutilization of our natural human resources. And our natural human resources are all those people who have been left out. That's what I'm here to do. I can't do it without you. I do know and understand that there is a perception problem. And that's why that's the first thing I said. Because without you all believing that things are changing, that there are opportunities, you won't bid on contracts. You won't pursue opportunities. You got to believe in order for you to take that chance. Because bidding on a contract is not a free exercise. It takes money. It takes time. It's not easy to do. You've got to believe that this is a system that is worth becoming involved in, because it's a system that can change. I believe I work together to change. Everybody with me? So to that end, I want to tell you exactly what the disparity study saw or found when it came to Asian American businesses. I think it's important that people understand. The disparity study found that for Asian American businesses are underrepresented and underutilized in the sale of goods to the county. I should back up. Our contracting is basically in 4 areas. We sort of break everything down into 4 areas: professional services, non-professional services, goods, and construction. So the disparity study said that when it comes to professional services and non-professional services, there is no disparity, that Asian Americans are adequately represented. Now, let me just be clear. Just because there is no disparity doesn't mean there's no room for growth. Okay? So, but there are clear disparities when it comes to the sale of goods to the county and when it comes to construction opportunities in the county. Those numbers have to change. So those are the areas of disparity: goods, construction, but the other areas could stand to grow too. Because from the way I see it, whatever growth we have is good for everybody. We have, to that end, we have a tool, which is Bill 4814, that was passed by the council, that we, actually when I was on the council, I got to sponsor the bill, I got to vote to pass the bill, and now I get to implement the bill. So this is like, it's going to be my bill. So Bill 4814 basically allows us in the procurement office, when there are actually the people who do procurement, to do the evaluation of businesses, to provide additional points in the evaluation criteria for minority, female, and disabled businesses. So basically, what this bill, where there is disparity, so what this bill does is it allows a few more points up. A few more points up won't get you the contract, but it could well get you in the room. It could well get you to the interview. As many of you know who have applied for county contracts, they're not a winner-take-all proposition. What happens basically is that a cutoff point is set in the scoring, and if your company is above that cutoff point, then what you get is an interview. And based on the questions and evaluations that are given in that interview, that's how the contract award is determined. So a few more points won't get you the award, but it will at least get you in the room with an opportunity to sell your services, to explain how you're the best fit, how you're the best choice. That's probably, under the current legal environment, the most we can do, is to figure out how to get folks in the room. The other side of it is, as I said, in 2 of these categories, Asian Americans are not deemed to be disparate. The impact is not deemed to be disparate on them. However, 4814 can still help you, because under 4814, what it essentially says is that if you are a group that is not deemed to be underutilized, you can partner, you can subcontract out with those who are deemed to be underutilized, and you'll get extra points from that. That gets you in the room. So 4814 figures out different ways for you to get in the room, to be a part of the process. Those ways were not there before. The other thing that I strongly urge you to do is is the county has a local small business reserve program. The local small business reserve program has a goal of 20%. I believe every year we've exceeded that goal. And these are traditional set-asides. And what I mean is that when we put contracts in the local small business reserve program, only local small businesses can bid on them. That's it. You don't have to worry about competing against, huge companies. Our goal is to try and, because the state has expanded the amount of revenue that a business can have and still be considered small. Because of that, we believe we can now put even more contract opportunities in the local small business reserve program. The expansion of those opportunities, I believe, will expand the ability of businesses to take advantage. Maybe businesses that weren't huge, but were a little bit bigger than the other definition of small. So if you don't have an MFD certification from one of the 6 organizations that we recognize, please look into the local small business certification, which essentially we do internally. You can register and be a part of that program. The other thing that we're doing, and we haven't rolled out yet, but like I said, I've only been there since June, so give me a minute to remake the world. We're changing the debriefing process. Because it seems to me that if you've been denied an opportunity and you don't know why, and there's really not a structured way for you to learn why, then you just end up not wanting to play this game anymore. So what we will be doing is putting out a new training and a new set of guidelines for the contract administrators to conduct debriefings in a way that I believe will be more accountable and more transparent. That process really has been, your debriefing could be as good or not as good as whoever it was you happen to be talking to. And so what we want to make it is a process that is uniform, and where everyone understands what the information is that they are entitled to receive, as well as what the expectations are. Frankly, I think that if we make debriefing easier, we may also, one of the side benefits may be that we change the way contract determinations are made. Sometimes folks do stuff because they don't think they're going to have to ask questions about it. But once you tell them that you're going to have to ask questions about this, they might want to change the way they do things. The last thing we're going to do, hopefully not the last, but soon, because this has been a work in progress, is we're changing the RFP form. And as I said, it's a work in process. When I got there, the RFP form was 45 pages long. I looked at it and I said, this is the craziest thing I've seen in my life. It's like a maze within a puzzle, within an enigma. Who wants to do this? And so now, at least at the last iteration I saw, we are down to a form that is 24 pages long. Send it back. I'm going to try to get some more pages off of it. So, these things I hope will make a difference. But really, I am absolutely serious. The thing that I know, the only thing that makes a difference is if you all believe, and if you bid, and if you help me change the numbers. I can't do it. I'm happy to give whatever questions you have. Yes.
I have a very simple two questions. First one, when did it pass the 4814?
When did they pass it? Oh, it passed, I don't remember.
April 14th.
April 14th.
Okay. Now, second question is that you are mentioning 4 areas, but right now is that you are discussing the goods and construction. However, I'm interested about the non-professional areas, so when are we able to get some more information?
All the opportunities that are available for bid are placed on our website. It- Both the informal and the formal solicitations. I guess I should mention that that's another thing we've done since I've been there, that the informal solicitations used to be just, there wasn't a lot of description as to what was being asked, what was being required. So we have now required a description as well as a link to a statement of work document for the informal solicitations. But everything that's available that is open for bid is routinely posted on our procurement website. The other thing I should mention that's also a work in progress is that often departments use purchase orders that are below a certain dollar limit so that they're not actually going through the procurement system. It's totally okay, it's legal, well, we're trying to change that. We're trying to capture some of those opportunities. Because if a department is spending, $10,000 or $9,000 on paint with a vendor that, wasn't a part of a contract, if I've got 3 departments doing that, then you put together enough of that, and there's an opportunity for a bid and a contract that has some meaning. So we are trying to sort of really get a handle on the kinds of purchases that are going on that would normally be classified as informal solicitations and that would, I believe, provide a good opportunity for small businesses, local businesses, and MFD businesses.
In your experience, how many kind of small business coalitions they already successful bids? And also, what kind of certificate we can get for small business? How long the process time?
Okay, so we do not do any of the certifying within my office. We accept the certificates of 6 different organizations, and I'm going to read them to you, but this is all on our website, okay? It's the Maryland Department of Transportation, the Virginia Department of Small, Women, and Minority-Owned Businesses, the Federal Small Business Administration's 8A, the Women's Business Enterprise National Council, I think they're called WBEN, you might have heard that, the Maryland DC Minority Supplier Development Council, and the City of Baltimore. I think there's a pamphlet that tells you which certifications we accept. So if you've been certified by one of those groups, we also consider you certified. Your other question is probably something I should know and don't. I don't know exactly how many Asian small businesses or Asian-owned businesses we have in County Grace. Do we have that number available?
We can get it.
We can get it to you.
From our data.
Within the category of goods and construction are the ones that are within the considered disparity, right?
Right.
Would construction also accomplish architect services, design services, stuff like that?
It depends. It would depend on the project and a number of other factors, but if it's a design, build job, if it's a design, build, construction project, then the answer would be yes. But if it's not, then architecture would be a professional service. So the answer would be no. So it really depends on what the architecture is doing and in what context. There's no, procurement is one of those things that the answer, it depends, is often the only one you can listen.
Yeah, I have a few questions. The first one is about the goal set aside for each category. And those are, I assume, for the minority, female, disabled goal in percentage. What is the dollar amount for those categories?
Also, it depends. What we do is that we look at each category, the total dollar value of each category will depend on what purchasing is being done in that category in that year. So I can't say, that what I can tell you is that Montgomery County averages about $800 million in purchasing a year, if you put everything together. All of that may not be eligible for MFD set-aside. Essentially, basically, a contract that is over $100,000 is a contract that is eligible for MFD subcontract. That's sort of the first rule, right? Over $100,000, eligible for subcontracting under MFD.
And the second is for some kind of a formal solicitations. We'll say you release the RFPs and you need to go through evaluation and award those. What is the time frame like? For example, how long after you release the RFP, how long it takes to respond to it, and after they submit it, how long it will be evaluated and be awarded?
Like I said, in procurement, a lot of the answer to your question are, it depends. That's also one, it depends. Here's what happens, and I think it's really important for people to understand that. My office does not make the evaluation decision. The evaluation decision is made by the department that is actually going to use whatever the product or service is, right? So but the materials have to be turned in. The bid materials have to be turned into my office. So we get them, we make sure all the I's have been dotted and the T's have been crossed, that people are responsible bidders, et cetera, and then we send it out to the using department. That process doesn't take us that long. I mean, a couple weeks, depending on, how much is being asked for, but, this is not a long part of the process. The using department then has to evaluate the bid, and they will set up panels to review, and that part can take a while, depending on the dollar amount. So we, as near as we can figure, because it really is a spectrum, right? I would think that if someone submitted a bid, it would be reasonable to not expect an answer for between 4 and 7 months. And the bigger the bid, the more money involved, I would expect that the longer part of the timeline would probably be what you would hit. I think that a part of our problem in perception, right, is that people think it's taking too long for whatever reason. I mean, the length of time, I think, is very discouraging to people. I get that, but that is really the only part of the process that's not in my control at all. What I can do is make sure that when the stuff comes back to us, that things have been done fairly, that there is transparency, that the rules have been followed, but I can't control that part of the process that is left with other departments.
One last question about, any idea how many small businesses has been dealing with the Maryland government so far?
We have what, 1,100? We have 1,100 registered with us at this point.
So it says register, what about actually doing business with the government?
Do you know how many of them?
We're talking about the county, so it's a county local small business, not the
Not,
state.
not the whole state.
Oh, okay.
But we do have our annual report posted on both our local small businesses and minority businesses for the data that you are interested in. And in the brochure, there's a link that you can pull out our annual reports.
Thank you.
Our annual reports aren't out for this year yet. So if you look at it now, you'll see data from last year.
You mentioned the total procurement dollars, $800 million for the county. You also mentioned there's something like 20% set aside for MFD.
For local small business, not MFD.
So does that mean if you are thinking about teaming with a large corporation, as one of your strategies, is that means you're not limited to that 20%? Or is this?
No, if you have a teaming agreement with the local, with a large company, whatever your teaming agreement is okay with me. There are no limitations, and having a teaming agreement with a local, with another company does not prevent or preclude you from becoming involved in other things along the way. You can have your hands in a number of different pots.
So do you have a record of successful bids?
I've only been there for 3 months. I haven't record anything yet. So, but I do have to just be frank about the fact that there really wasn't much of an incentive to team up before. And so now hopefully, other than, you know, there have been, of course, all along, requirements in county construction contracts and other big contracts. Those requirements have been really pushed forward, but I don't think that on, you know, on everything basis, there's really been much of an incentive to team.
What is the time frame for the change in the recruitment process? When do you anticipate
Say
that?
it again.
What is the time frame for the change in the recruitment process? When do you anticipate that to occur?
If I can roll that out by the beginning of the year, I'll be a very happy camper.
Any specific upcoming opportunities coming up? Can you discuss about something, any upcoming opportunity right now?
I can tell you that in the next month or so, between now and the end of the year, we will have what are called the JOC construction contracts that will be coming out. And what they are essentially are smaller contracts up to about $3 million for construction projects. So the way we have been doing it is that we invite companies to bid. We get about we accept about 3 or 4 companies into the mix, if you will, and then whatever jobs come out of that process for the next couple of years, whatever construction, remodeling, jobs that are under the $3 million threshold, only those companies that are in this group that we've already pre-vetted only those companies can bid on those jobs. They are, I think, a good opportunity, especially for companies that maybe have served as subcontractors, but can become prime contractors with a little bit more exposure. We have a few other construction contracts likely to come out before the year is over, and a few transportation-related contracts that are likely to come out, but I can't really go into a lot of detail about those because they're really not at that point yet. But the JOC contracts, I would urge you to be on the lookout, and to, let people know that they are in fact coming out.
Is there mandatory subcontracting goal for the any
Yes.
MFD or LSBRP certified company?
Mandatory and goal cannot be said in the same sentence. Well, we have goals. The Supreme Court says we can't have mandatory stuff. So we have goals. And those goals are dependent upon a number of things. And in the construction category, the goal is 21% participation in subcontractors. I think she has.
One quick question. Is there any access that we can get our help while we're going through the bid process? Like my company is very new to contracting opportunity, going after contracting opportunity. Let's say we go for this specific contract, and then we have a lot of questions. Besides the 25 pages of the RFP or some other question arise. Is there any access we can get so we can get help to
Sure.
bid and successfully bid the
There
contract?
are a couple of different things. First of all, the county has a small business navigator. I don't know, and that's part of the Office of Economic Development. So I think provisions have been made for that position to continue even after the office, even after the department transforms into something else. And to be honest with you, I think there are pretty good frequently asked questions on our website, but we are going through them. Actually, I've been through them, and there are a lot of them I want to change. I want to change everything. I want to change carpet, the wallpaper, everything. So I kind of have to pace myself, or else everybody will quit and go find other jobs. But the answer to your question is, sincerely, if we do have people who are happy to have conversations, to explain to folks how things should be. There's also the Maryland Small Business Development Center, which would be a very good resource. I think people should understand that maybe folks in my office can't give them, have to sort of stop at some point, and give them information because nobody wants to seem like an unfair advantage. So we are happy to help, and more importantly, we're happy to point you where you can get help if it's not the kind of help that we can give you. Yes.
Can a subcontractor be company overseas if they can provide high quality work with lower cost?
No. It has to be a U.S. based company. Doesn't have to be a Maryland company, but it just has to be U.S. Yeah.
Yeah, and the question is, how can non-profit organization
It doesn't matter to us whether you're for-profit or not-for-profit. The model of business, organization, and governance is not what dictates for us. The one thing that a nonprofit cannot do is really be an MFD, because under the law, an MFD has to be in any of these categories, right? Any of these categories you look at, for the certification, and they all specify some level of ownership that is with a minority or female member, right, or a disabled person. That a nonprofit is not owned by anybody. And so that's kind of the catch, right? But a nonprofit, so I'm not sure, that it would, because we don't have any contracts that we specifically set aside for MFDs, it really wouldn't matter if a nonprofit would be free to bid on them. The only thing a nonprofit can't do is that they can't be counted as a part of the goal numbers. But so they're welcome to come to the party, but we just can't count on them, as part of the numbers. Because unless the county changes its law, because there's probably a very small legal change that would allow us to count them, but right now I haven't really focused on that because I've got lots to do. Okay. Anything on that side of the room? Oh,
Hi,
hey, how you doing?
on IDIP contracts or any contracts that the county awards, is information on the winners and their technical scores and price available publicly?
Sometimes. There are county websites where you can get contract information. You can get, whether or not you can get information with that level of specificity will depend on whether the information has been deemed to be proprietary. If it's proprietary information, we can't release it. If it is not proprietary, or there's something about the formulation that we could release without it being overwhelmingly redacted, then it'll be on that website. There's also the Maryland MPIA. I mean, you can have a records request.
Oh, thank you for the answer to this question. Sometimes when a contract isn't going through this program, there are some questions about the witnesses out of court, like that particular agency. Is there any appeal process or a way that we can kind of contest the awarding of the contract? We thought that they can only offer inferior services and goods, and that it was not done properly.
There are a number of ways to, the first method, the first potential challenge is a challenge to status. So for instance, if a company is awarded a contract under the local small business program, and you believe that they are not in fact a local small business, then you can write us a letter saying, hey, Joe's Plumbing is really a multinational, and so we'll look into that. But after the award has actually been made final, and has in fact been awarded, and that's the point that actually triggers the ability to file a formal protest. And in that formal protest, then it is totally permissible for a company to say, I don't think, the evaluation criteria were not lived up to, or the goods provided under the contract were not the goods that were asked for in the RFP, or there was a variance. I mean, there's a number of different ways that protests can happen, and a number of different grounds that they can occur, but they can only occur after the award. Yes.
What
It's a little more complicated than that. Grace?
Okay, so local means the company is based inside Montgomery County. And you can have multiple offices within Montgomery County and other places, but the office inside Montgomery County needs to be your principal place of business. That's the main office, so that's local. For small, if you have this brochure, they have the size limitation for each
That's
category.
15 million, right?
It
The
depends.
federal is 15 million, it used to be 7 million.
Our size limitation is different from the federal or
So
states.
the local small business have its own definition of it.
Correct, it's
the
county's own
revenue.
law.
Okay.
So if you are in the services, for example, Cherri mentioned earlier that we just increased that threshold from up to 50 employees to up to 100 employees. So for services contracts, you can have up to 100 employees, or you're making more than $10 million per year. So that's a definition for small. So you need to be both local and small to be able to be in that.
For example, if my company is actually registered in Delaware, it's like everybody does it in the past, but the office is actually in Montgomery County. Still, as long as you can show its primary office is in Montgomery County, it's fit into the local definition.
What we're going to ask for is your 3 years of tax documents, your unemployment insurance from Maryland, and your lease to be able to figure out if you're a small worker.
Thank you.
But not, in all these small business programs, it doesn't mean that you're precluded from participating just because you're not domiciled.
No, you don't have to,
Right.
your state of
Like-
incorporation is not to be.
Or like, you can still be considered like if you have your headquarters in perhaps in another state or another county.
Not for local small business.
Not for local, but for the other programs.
For the other programs, that would be fine, but not for local small business.
Right.
Because it truly is
Like you could
Montgomery
have
County.
a French villages.
Yes.
But also do this Montgomery.
Yes.
Or it could be domicile, Virginia, if you're still doing a local business probably or providing services in Montgomery County. But not under that one.
But not under
program,
that
but the
one.
other programs.
Right, that would be, and that's why we accept these certifications from different places.
Right.
Yeah, and to give you an idea, Cherri mentioned earlier, $800 million per year for coal procurement. For local small business contracts, we spent about 88 million last year. So we're talking about 10% that's reserved. The other 90% is open to everyone.
And in this goods category that you have that's under the diversity study, does that encompass things like food, the division of food services? Or like computer products, things like that?
Computer products.
Software
yes.
products?
Yes,
Oh,
for
that's
products, but not for, if it's a product and a service together, then it's probably going to be under the non-professional services or professional services.
okay.
If it's product standing alone,
Like what if
Then
they're
that's
just like
goods.
selling like software and computer products?
that should be, that's a
Office
good,
supplies,
goods,
things like that.
goods.
But it depends on if they do delivery, they do installation, they do maintenance, then that includes the services business. If we're only buying goods like paper, then that's just
Or
for
computer products or software.
Or furniture, or, yeah, just,
Like
just,
if the company develops software for the county, that's still considered
Good.
a good, right?
that would be good. It kind of depends.
if there's no after services.
Well, one thing I found that is really interesting, and please don't take anything so, is the food services are important, right? In the government agency, I'm sorry to say that. We probably wanted to, bring a new diverse array of foods that are fresh, that are, not the usual traditional, kind. And I was thinking that maybe the oversight of that is to, bring in new types of foods and services.
The county, two things. The county has just, like, probably, I'm thinking about a week, maybe 2 weeks ago, if that, put out a contract for healthy vending machines. So I'm assuming that's still up, right? I haven't looked, but this is a new contract, healthy vending machines. It's part of a healthy food initiative. And so that, could be a part of what you're suggesting. The other thing is, bear in mind that the school system is a whole different contracting authority. I don't have anything to do with Montgomery County Public Schools. So if you're interested in doing business and healthy food initiatives, would definitely be a big item there. That's a whole nother place to look. But I think as far as county buildings go, we really don't have very many that actually have food services internal, I mean, they kind of rent out the space and,
Like in the courtrooms, so like the courthouse, the state's attorney's office.
Right.
Like in the county
I think
council
they just did those contracts about 2 years ago. They just had to change over.
Because I've noticed in the federal contracting world, we have this fantastic Asian American food service provider that has introduced a real wonderful diverse array of food services to the federal government agencies that are healthy, that are diverse, and that people actually like to eat. And they've done that in Congress too, congressional cafeterias, there's just something like that anyway.
Yeah, because they have like food court things, but I believe those contracts were just changed over like a year or maybe 2 years ago. So it'll probably be a minute before Michael Brown would like to say something.
Then Matthew has a question.
No, actually,
Okay.
because that was a success story, that 2 years ago, we actually helped those COB, UOB cafeteria, I think Gaithersburg Library,
Yeah.
and then also police safety, public safety headquarters. So there's a full cafeteria. Actually, my organization, non-profit organization, helped them to writing a proposal for the owner. So we actually got one. But that's also involved with the LSBRP, Local Small Business Reserve Program.
It's a well-being cafe owned by Korean.
Right. And they are also a foreign corporation. They're not even Maryland corporation. But so there's something, even though Delaware Corporation or the other corporation, as long as you have a headquarter office in Montgomery County, and then there's some revenue comes through the Montgomery County. There's a couple things you have to meet the criteria to be LSBRP. So that's the kind of things exactly that there's a lot of cafeteria, government, federal, state, local. Those businesses are well fit for the Asian American community. So.
Yeah, that's something we want to encourage. In fact, that sounds like that's an example of the type of new type of cuisine that's being introduced. That's kind of global and not just meat and potatoes and French fries. You know what I mean.
Any other questions? Okay, well, if there's nothing else, I want to thank you all for coming out. I truly do appreciate it. Please do not forget to get your parking validated. Parking is expensive. Make sure you can sign in. Where's your sign